Percy quarrels with James. The day before, Gordon and James tricked Toby when they told him to take his milk wagons on the main line instead of his branch line, and when Toby missed a signal went into a siding, it made one of his trucks leak. Toby had been telling Percy all about it, and it made Percy cross. Percy had been thinking about James and Gordon much lately, and was feeling fed up. "Why is it that the big engines always make me cross?" he thought to himself. Percy met James at the junction. "You look glum, little Percy, what's up?" asked James. "I'm just fed up with you," said Percy. "It wasn't funny when you tricked Toby the other day." "It's not just me that caused that, Gordon too," said James. "It was still your own fault for the accident," explained Percy. "It's not the first time you tried to get any engine into trouble." And Percy hurried away. Later that day, Percy was shunting his trucks in a siding. As he was fetching some more trucks, James was pulling into the station. Percy didn't see James, and he pushed his trucks right in front of James. James stopped just in time. "Look where you're going," snapped James. "You nearly caused an accident." "You shouldn't have got in my way like that," argued Percy. "It's not my fault," snapped James. "You were the one who's been rough with your trucks." This made Percy very cross. "That's it," he said to himself. "I'm not going to talk to him any more." Percy spent the whole day talking to the other engines, and he soon forgot about his slanging match with James, and felt better. Later that night, Percy was in the shed talking to all the other engines. Then James parked next to Percy. Percy was too cross to see him and puffed out of the sheds. "Where are you going?" called Duck. But Percy didn't hear him. James wasn't surprised that Percy left the sheds, because he had been picking arguments with Percy, and he didn't tell the other engines about it. "He'll be back soon," said Henry. "I hope." Percy decided to spend the night at the docks. "May I stay with you tonight?" he asked Salty and Cranky. "Be our guest, matey," said Salty kindly. "Why aren't you in your shed?" asked Cranky. Percy told about James, and even how he and Gordon tricked Toby the other day. "Why not speak to the Fat Controller about your problems?" suggested Cranky. Percy thought it was a good idea. The next morning the Fat Controller came to the sheds. "Where is Percy?" he said fumingly. "He left the sheds last night just as James got back," said Toby. Because I think he got into an argument with James." And he told the Fat Controller about Gordon and James tricking him about his little accident the other day. The Fat Controller was cross. "For your punishment," he said to James and Gordon, "you will stay in the yard and shunt trucks instead of Percy, and you, Gordon, can take the mail train tonight." "Oh no," groaned Gordon and James together. Percy was pleased about Gordon and James's punishment, and that way he can spend the whole day working with Toby and forget all about his problems yesterday. After a long, hard, busy day with Toby, the two friends went back to the sheds and talked about good times. Gordon and James were the last engines to come back. They were tired. James apologised to Percy for picking an argument, and he and Gordon did the same to Toby for playing such a naughty trick on him, and they reminded themselves that they were really useful engines after all.